Hey pilots, Dave Bourne here from Bourne to Fly. I've been wanting to make this video for a few months and I'm just getting around to doing it. But today I want to cover the change I made to the E-flite Carbon T-28, the 2-meter plane. I have the second version, which is red and white color scheme. First let me say this is a fantastic flyer. I've had this plane for a few years now and I absolutely love it. The plane's easy to fly, it creates a presence at the field that will make others stand up and take notice. So if you're into low-wing warbirds or you're just wanting to try one, this is definitely a great option. The only problem that I've had with this plane is that the gear tends to not go all the way up into the fuselage after takeoff. I have quite a few friends that also have this plane and they all have the same problem. I've been reading a lot of forums about the issue and apparently the first and the second versions all have gear issues. I've done a lot of research about it and it seems like nothing works. I know there's been a lot of guys that have put videos out there trying different things. I've tried different lubes, oils, WD-40. Nothing gets the gear up once you take off and are under power. And I think that's part of the problem is that there's so much torque against this plane when it's under power that as the gear's going up, I think that the pressure's just binding up the retract and it's not making it all the way up. The only way that I've been able to get the gear all the way up is to take the plane up high, put down the flaps, reduce the power, put the plane basically into a stall. I cycle the gear up and down, and finally they'll usually go up under the stall speed. It's kind of a pain. It takes away valuable flying time, but at least they go all the way up. And I know a few pilots will take the plane up, turn the plane upside down, and then cycle the gear, and that usually works as well. I even bought replacements for the original Retracts just to see if replacing them might help. But I've never got around to putting them in. I have them. I still have them, but I think they're kind of junk. The old ones, the model number is 1309. So if you have those or you're planning on ordering some new ones, stay away from the model number 1309. They're garbage. One additional issue that I had this past year, is that the gear would not come down all the way once I was able to get the gear up. It seems like one gear would come down and the others would not. And I'd cycle them again and again, and I'd do some flybys. It seems like I had 2 out of the 3 that would come down, but not all of them. And it was kind of hit and miss, but usually after 3 or 4 times, they would finally all come down together. A few times I was so low on battery that I thought I'd have to belly land it, but they come down just before it was too late. And it seems that I spend more time worrying about the gear than actually flying the plane. So in the back of my mind, I knew at some point this was going to end badly. But the good news is this year version 3 was released, which is the yellow version, and Horizon said they finally fixed the issue. This is the new model number that you'll want to get, which is EFL 365. I have a few friends that bought this new version of the plane. They've had 0 problems with the Retracts. So I wanted to see if I could replace the old Retracts with the 3rd version and see if it fixed my issue once and for all. So I bought the mains for version 3 Retracts. They're actually a little bit cheaper than the original Retract versions from 1 and 2, which is also a bonus. I've been talking to the techs at Horizon, and they say it should be an easy change, and I should be able to just swap out the old ones and pop in the new ones. So we're about to find out. I'm going to change one side and then swap out the other side. I did order the front Retracts for the yellow version, version number 3 as well, but they've been on back order. So for now, I'm just going to swap out the mains and we'll see what happens. Hopefully with this new gear, they go up when they're supposed to and go down when they're supposed to. So let's get to it. Okay, I'm making a little bit of progress. First of all, I had to take this cover plate off, just 2 screws that hold it in place. It does tie into this tie pin here that it's a little bit tricky to get off. I actually had the gear extended And then once I took this plate off, it's easy enough to just turn it out of that Z-bend. And once you get this plate off, then there are 4 screws that hold the gear on. Once those are off, your gear will just pop right out. Okay, I have removed the vinyl covering tape there. I've pulled out the retract. I've actually unscrewed it from the old retract. This is the new one. I just used a 5/36, let's see, 5/32 Allen wrench. It popped right out. There's probably a metric equivalent to that too. I just happen to have those handy and it worked just fine. Just pop those 2 screws right there, and the strut will slide right out. I'll put the other one in, remount this. I did buy some new tires for this. I bought the soft bounce tires. I'm not sure if it's the same ones or not, but these are the soft tires for the T-28, carbon T-28. Right there, model number 013562. My tires are a little worn out. Like I said, I've flown this plane a ton, and so I'm going to replace those. Shouldn't be too bad of a deal there. Just pop the little C-clip and put the new ones on, and we should be ready to go. So I'll get to that point, and we'll talk about reinstall. All right, I have the tire off now. It just has a little C-clip that holds it on. In fact, the new tires come with new C-clips, so I'll use those. So it'll be good and tight. I did clean up the strut a little bit. As I said, I've taken this off the grass quite a bit, and so there was a lot of grass stains and dirt and mud on it. And it was a little sticky as far as the wheel spinning. So I've cleaned the shaft off. A little bit of lubricant to there. And I'll put the tire back on. I did pull the new tire out of the bag. These are supposed to be soft tires. They appear to be more plastic than the original ones. This is the one I just took off. This seems to be more rubbery and less plastic, and it seems to be softer than the one that they're calling soft. It does sponge a little bit, but it does feel not as soft as the other one. I kind of like the old one better than the new one. But I'll put the new ones on and just see how it lands, if it's bouncy or you know, if it greases the landing like the old ones did. But I'm not as impressed. I was really kind of hoping that these would be a little bit softer tires, more like the Dubro's soft bounce tires. But this is the ones that they said were the soft ones. I'm not buying it yet, but we'll put them on and see how it goes. If I don't like them, maybe I'll just order the original ones that came with it, because I tend to like the feel of those a little bit better than these new, what they're calling the soft bounce or the soft tires. Anyway, I'll put those on and we'll fly it a couple of times, see if I like them. I do have the new tire on now, and I just wanted to make a comment about these C-clips. They do make pullers that you can pop those out. I just used a screwdriver and it just popped right off of there without any problem. To put it back on, I just used a pair of needle nose, just push it in there, and then just from the back side push that C-clip onto the shaft. There's a groove right behind well, just a little bit in from the edge of the shaft there that C-clip goes into. Just make sure that when you get the C-clip on, that it's completely in the groove. You should be able to take a screwdriver or a pair of pliers or even your finger and just spin that C-clip around and just make sure that it's seated correctly in the groove so that it doesn't pop out. The worst thing that you could have happen is have that C-clip come off when you're taking off or landing and have your tire spin down the runway. I've seen it. It's happened to me several times, so just make sure that C-clip is on there good and tight. It's in the grooves and it's fully seated. Okay, I've got the servo, or the retract back in. I've placed it in. I put the strut back in and then put the servo back in. I've reran my wire, put the tape back down. Not sure if it's going to stick. I may throw a little bit of tack on there, or I may just put a little bit of hot glue. I'm not sure. I'm afraid that it's gonna, when I take off and the wind hits it, it may just pull it right back off. But I wanted to show you something. I've got this on a servo tester. So the retract is working fine. I will say this, that these two screws that hold the strut on, when I put the strut in here and tightened it, I pushed it as far in as I could get it to go. I wanted to make sure that, you know, it was as far in as it could go when I tightened it down. There is the flat parts in there that those set screws go to. There's quite a bit of travel in there that you can actually slide this strut up and down to make it fit, you know, within the whole retract pocket here. When I shoved it all the way in, when I tried to get the gear to go up, it was actually this spring part of the strut was hitting right here on the corner of this plastic piece that holds the whole gear in. So all I had to do was just loosen these screws. I didn't have to take the retract back out. I just loosened these screws. I slid it back just a little bit, and I only loosened these screws up enough to get it to slide. That way I knew that those two set screws would still stay in the slots and it wouldn't go past them. So I pushed it down, maybe 1/8 of an inch, retightened them, and now when the gear comes up, it doesn't hit that corner anymore. And hopefully we've solved the problem now with the retracts. I'm going to go ahead and put this cover plate back on, move to the other wing, put them together. We'll take it to the fly field and see if we've corrected at least the main gear. And then in the next couple of weeks, when I get the front gear in, we'll replace that one as well. And hopefully we have landing gear that work like the new yellow carbon T-28. So I'm pretty excited. You know, the retracts, the struts fit right into the same retracts. They are exactly the same size. They obviously look a little bit different. You know, with the control module that's in here, I've seen a lot of guys take these out and resolder them with a box that controls the servos. I didn't want to do all of that soldering, but these are junk. I can't believe that it's taken so many years to fix the problem and that we now have new retracts. And again, I did buy replacements from the originals. This is the new one. If you are going to get new retracts to go in your old plane, make sure you do not get this one. Do not get the 1309 retract. That's the original main gear unit that came with the first and second versions of the carbon T-28. Make sure you get the 365. This is the new ones that they've come out, which has solved the problem. So only took a couple of days for them to get here. To just do this one whole side maybe took me 5 minutes, if that. It took me longer to just video than to actually do it. So it's an easy fix. Everything goes right back in. I just need to finish putting this plate back on. And once this plate that covers the gear is on, this side of the wing will be done. Working on the other side, I just wanted to point something out. The old tire on this side has kind of a little bevel on the inside of it. I don't know if it was that way when they put it together. The first tire that I tried to replace didn't have the bevel in there. But this one did, and it allowed the tire to go on far enough to catch that little groove where the C-clip goes. And this new tire that I had wouldn't go on far enough to put the C-clip on, because if you'll notice down here, there's a piece of plastic that's holding that shaft into the strut. And I'm sure that this is probably all bent around inside there just to give it rigidity. But for some reason, this side, the strut has this piece of plastic that's protruding coming on the outside of it. So that was preventing the tire from going all the way to the back of the shaft and allowing me to put that C-clip into that groove. I couldn't even see the groove. So I just took, the tire, and I just used my drill press, and I used a 1/4 inch drill, and I just brought it down just enough to, sorry for the video here, just enough to barely ream out that hole just a little bit. I didn't go in there very far, so it's not going to affect the way it spins or balances or anything else. It was just enough to tear apart or tear out just sort of a little bit of a gap in there, so that on the back side of that shaft on the strut, it now allows that tire to go on far enough that I can get the C-clip on there. Finally have the second wheel in now, and the second gear. The only problem that I had was just that flare that I had to build on the back of the tire. Spins just fine now. I've got the servo in, and just real quick, I'll show you how to put this cover plate in. Once you have that retract, or once you have the gear down, you'll see that this pin right here just slides right into there. So I take this off, and it's kind of hard to do with my hands and record at the same time, but I'll just slide that pin in through there like that. And just like it was when I took it out, put it back down in there, put in the 2 screws, simple as can be. All right, I've got both retracts in both sides of the wings. I've put the wings back together. You can see that I've got the 6 wires coming up now, 2 for the retracts, 2 for the ailerons, 2 for the flaps. And if you're going to take the wings apart from here and transport them individually, there's an easy way to do that, so that you only have to put 2 plugs together instead of all 6. I'm lucky enough that my trailer is big enough that I can just take the wings off and leave them all in one piece. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some Y harnesses now. I got these, I believe, off Amazon. I'll put a link down in the description. They're just 3 inches, 7 millimeters long, short ones, so that I can hook each of the 2 sides together, the 2 gears together, the 2 ailerons together, and the 2 flaps together. And then when it goes through the fuselage, what I'm going to do is use a quick connect. From there, that goes straight into the receiver. And that way I won't have to plug in 6 wires at a time. I'll only have to plug in 1. Okay, I have finished wiring up the wing side of this quick connect. And what I've done is I've taken this 3 inch or 7 millimeter or centimeter Y harness, and I've connected each of the channels to it. So I've got flaps here, ailerons here in the middle, the new gear wires on the end, and they all run into this quick connect now. So this part will slide up into the fuselage, and on the other side I'll have the other side of the quick connect, and from it will be 3 wires going out, which will go into the receiver for each of those 3 channels. And so this will make it very simple. connect once I get to the field. And I've done the same thing for the smaller wing, for the smaller T-28. And you'll see I've got the same thing here, flaps, ailerons, and gear all go into another quick connect here, which will again slide up through the fuselage. The only thing I have to connect is this quick connect piece here, and all six of those servos will be connected just in one snap. Easy to get undo. You don't have to worry about pulling things apart. Just there's a little button back here on the back. You push that down, slide it out. And again, on the other side of that quick connect are 3 wires. They just go into those channels in your receiver, into the ailerons, the flaps, and the gear. So it'll make it super nice when I get to the field. I'll do that part next and then give you a quick peek at it. I just wanted to show what the other side of the connector looks like for this quick link. I am using the one called One Click, and it's from Electrodynamics Incorporated. And there are quite a few of them out there that you can select. These are some that, this is one that I ordered because some of the guys I fly with use these and they've had really good success with them. I did find the packaging information that came with those. You can see this come from Electrodynamics Incorporated. There's a model number EDR-102-3, one-click multi-connect, connects for 3 servos. On the back here is their information with their website. You can call them or just go right onto their website and order. I had these quick links in about 3 days. So definitely worthwhile. On this side, on the smaller T-28, I also have these ready to go. This will now just plug straight into the receiver. I do want to make one point that you can't just plug this gear into the receiver because we do have 3 gear on this plane. I've got the 2 mains coming together to here, but we still have the front retract that we need to include into there before we plug it into the receiver. So you'll need one more Y harness. I just used one of the Y harnesses that came with the plane. Either the ailerons or the flaps have a two connection there. And so I've already plugged one of these into the front retract. It's all already into the receiver. And this one here will go into the quick connect. You can see everything's pretty tight in here. Once I'm ready to put the wing on, I'll just put the quick connect up from this side. I'll have the one from the fuselage side, connect the 2 together. Everything's nice and tight in there. It's nice and clean. And I think it'll be, a great option for when I get to the field.
Finally made it out here to the fly field. Just wanted to show you. I have everything wired in now with that single connection for all 6 wires now. Just a single plug coming right up through the from the fuselage into the wing, and it took me probably a fourth of the time normally to get the wings back on. Obviously less than 3 to 5 minutes. It took longer to screw everything in, the wing onto the plane, than it did to actually feed the wires through and plug it in. But I cycled the gear a couple of times. Everything looks good. We're going to do a maiden with these new retracts, and hopefully things go up when they should and come down when they should.
Timer start. Timer start.
Slow pass.
the first time in its life, the gear actually went all the way up the first time.
Landing flaps. Gear down.
Land now.
Time of start.
Well guys, the Maiden went fantastic. The gear came down when it's supposed to, and it went up when it's supposed to. I didn't have any problems with the gear getting stuck halfway up, and I didn't have any problems with any of the gear coming back down when it's time to land. The only thing that I did have a problem with is, I guess I didn't get this vinyl tape on here very tight on the one side. And the second time I flew it and landed, I noticed that the wires were hanging down. So I'll get some more vinyl and put on there and cover that up, and probably glue it down as well. But overall, these new Retracts are fantastic. They fixed the problem. I only had 2 flights on them, but in either flight, no issues at all. They went up when they needed to and went down when they needed to. So, oh, and then the bouncy tires, the soft tires. You saw the landing there, no bounce. It was both landings were pretty clean, and I was pretty happy with the way they performed. So, all in all, though, I'm pretty pleased with these new Retracts, and I hope if you guys are thinking about doing this, well worth it. Gets rid of the problem, at least it has so far. And it's too bad that E-flite didn't do this a few years ago when they came out with the second version. They should have fixed the Retracts then. But here we are. I feel pretty good about these. And if it's something you guys are looking to do, hopefully this video helps you out. Happy flying, guys. Hey pilots, just a quick update. I finally got the front landing gear in. You can see there's the new Retract number, EFLG367. That is a new one, and it comes with the new strut. I think I mentioned in my previous video that I've flown this plane off the grass quite a bit and kind of bent the Retract back a little bit. This new one here will replace that one, so I don't have to bend it out at all. And if you're just looking for the Retract itself, see if I can get that in there. The Retract number itself is EFLG366, 90 degrees nose Retract. If you're just looking to replace the servo itself or the Retract without the strut, that's what you would order. But if you're wanting to get the whole thing, which is what I did, then you're looking for the 367. I've noticed they're on back order again, but I went ahead and bought it, and then just as soon as it came in, they shipped it to me. And hopefully this takes care of the problem with the other front one not coming down. The mains have been great since I put on version 3. Since the last part of that video that I made, I've probably got at least 2 dozen flights on that, on my T-28 with the new Retracts, and have had 0 problems with them going up or coming down. So I'm pretty pleased with it. Hopefully this video helps.